Download Whiskey Hell Podcast. We call attention to the mainstream media narratives weekly in hopes that you'll have fun with how ridiculous the news really is. We don't want to change your mind. We just want to give you perspective so that you can choose more wisely and be more aware. Couple that with great craft beer, hilarious stories, deep thoughts, and real conversations. We know you're going to enjoy it. Download Whiskey Hell Podcast anywhere you find outstanding shows.
Polestar 2. Get behind the wheel and experience the electric performance of Polestar cars. Starting from $42,995. Test drives available in Sandyford and now Malahide for a limited time. Book your test drive today at polestar.com.
Take my eyes open to force reality. Why can't you just let me eat my weight in glee? Hush.
Hello, world ablaze listeners. Sorry I took another long break. It's been over a month, but I'm very happy to be back in the seat, hosting my own damn show. Now, you may be asking, where the hell were you? Well, I'm glad you did ask that. I'm going to tell you. Here's the updates. Listen, back in April, things got crazy busy with the business, the other business that I do own. If you don't know, if you're not an avid listener, maybe you're new to the show, you just found World Ablaze. I do own an event production company that primarily pretty much just does full production for events, and we've also got into supporting bands that are on tours. So sending out audio packages, lighting packages, things like that. The season just kicked in hard, and it was all hands on deck, and I really had no time for anything else. Now, aside from that, I also decided that my brother and I, we got together and we more or less merged our two little networks. And we now are operating as Fonts Media. And under that banner, we do have 5 podcast shows. We're becoming a pretty decently sized network right now, and are in the works to further grow the network and gain more exposure to the shows. And in doing so, we will be taking on advertisements for all of our shows in general, and continuing, as I said, to grow not just in size, but financially, so that we continue to do this for everybody. At the moment, we don't make any money. We do this because we love it, but it's coming for us, and the money that comes in will be funneled back into the company so that we can keep these podcasts going and hopefully add other podcasts by other hosts. As far as World Ablaze goes, this is not stopping. I just had to take a break, as I just explained. A lot going on here. And I chose now, moving forward, that we're going to keep this episodic. No more seasons, season 1, season 2, because fuck that. Listen, I can't just box life into a season. Everything just seems to keep rolling day after day after day. And historically, I've only been doing this about once, maybe twice a week. I'd love to do it daily. It may get there. Hang in there with me. But we're going to go episodic. So it'll now just read as episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Now that we got all of that out of the way, I got you guys caught up. So, busy on production and rentals and touring on the AV freaking event production side, trying to build a pretty decently sized podcast network with multiple shows and trying to edit and keep all those going. Oh, and we also added the Fonts Media YouTube channels where these shows are all uploaded to if you choose to consume your content via YouTube. But outside of that, every single show that we have is available pretty much on any major podcast aggregator. Speaking of these shows, by the way, since we're still talking about that at the moment, we have a total of 5 right now. Now, 4 are ongoing shows that will always be updated and will continue to grow. One is basically almost like a lost tapes that my brother has from his old Stretch Goose network, where he's done multiple recordings, and he's decided to start, stop, and reboot many times. But if you're interested, it's called The Lost Tapes. Stretch Goose Network, The Lost Tapes. And there's basically 170, almost 200 something episodes there, which are really interesting to hear because it really spans all the way back to his humble beginnings as he moved on in the podcast world we have and we live in. The other shows are Stretch Goose Podcast, which my brother has rebooted and decided to restart and just kick it off under the Fonts Media banner. And then there's Bleacher Banter, which is a sports-based show, which is my brother Manuel Fonts and his son Kyle Fonts. They're both extremely into sports, so they cover everything from football, NBA, Major League Baseball, you name it. So if you're interested in sports, it's a very good podcast, very informative, both very smart, and they know what they're talking about. Kyle does phone in because he is in the military and the Marines, so he gets his calls in when he has his time to. And thus far, it is a weekly podcast, and they try to cram as much info as they can into 1 week. The other two shows are, Random Thoughts with Manuel and George. And that is a show that I co-host with my brother. It's actually both of I consider it our show. It's not really hosted by one or the other. Sometimes he takes the lead, sometimes I do. But in the end, it doesn't matter. That show has been gaining a lot of traction. And while I have not been recording Will to Blaze because of everything that has been going on, I have been recording and putting out Random Thoughts with Manuel and George. And I encourage everybody to listen to that. And I have fun on that one because it's very random. It really is. We don't really prepare a show per se. A lot of things are just off the top of our head, off the cuff. And, we say what we feel. And it's a lot of it based on what's going on in the world. It could be anything from exorbitant prices at Starbucks and waiting in long line drive-thrus all the way down the line to what's going on in politics, or even, the latest electric car. Whatever is going on that just happens to catch our attention that we may have an opinion on, we basically talk about it. And that's why it's called Random Thoughts. And it truly is on the spot. We just make it up as we go. Encourage everybody to listen to that. It's growing fast. It's getting a lot of attention. And again, take a listen. And please leave comments and subscribe to all the shows I mentioned. Of course, the fifth show, as you gotta know, is mine, World Ablaze, with yours truly, George Fonts. Yes, that's right. And I'm still here, and I'm not gone. And, after that 40-something day break from the show itself that I should be recording, apologies to everybody, I lifted up my head, not much has fucking changed in the world. We're still in the same situation, same bullshit's being talked about, same stupidity. But you know what I owe every single one of you? Because I haven't done it in a while. And you know what? If you're going to work after work, whatever the hell you're doing, or you just don't want to go to work, I'm going to crack a beer for you because guess what? You and I both need one. So here we go. I got one tall, cold beer. Now that's a beautiful sound. And I'm going to take a sip. Cheers to y'all. Oh, yeah. I'm going to do something else. As y'all know, and you've heard, I am a cigar man, fumbling around for supplies here. I'm going to put that down. All right. And today, I'm going to light up a Gurkha. And listen, for all you cigar connoisseurs who want to get snobby with me about Gurkha, just shut the fuck up. Because, yes, there are bad Gurkhas, but I don't buy those, and I haven't had a bad Gurkha experience, okay? I primarily smoke the cellar reserves, which are aged, and they're fine and rare and amazing. And I haven't had one that was bad yet. And I've had a few other Gurkhas that have never let me down. So for all you Gurkha haters, just pull your head out of your ass. All right? It's a cigar. But today, I have a cellar reserve 18-year-old age. So all the tobacco in here is aged at a minimum of 18 years. And right now, it sounds very tasty. So I'm going to go ahead and get my cutter here. A little straight cut, double guillotine as they say. And I'm going to go ahead and make a cut over here so I can light this bad boy. And here we go. And that's going to be a nice clean cut. And there we go. All right. Clear that out. Grab my torch lighter here. Light this guy up. Here we go. And toasting that puppy right there. And I think it's about time to take a few puffs off this. Yeah. That's good. That works. Yep. All right. All right. Now we got them shenanigans out of the way. A little tribute to Cigar Dave there. All right. That is good. So, moving on. What am I going to talk about today? You know, there's a lot of bullshit going on. Look, Trump's still under fire, on trial. And let's talk about Trump for a minute. The elections are going on. We're getting late into election year. It's May. Time's flying by. And, well, the Democrats are still whining about him. In fact, they're so pissed off that they haven't been able to put him in jail yet and suppress him and keep him away from being a candidate that people can vote for, that they're losing their fucking minds. Everyone from Bill Maher to, I mean, Jesus, just anybody on MSNBC or CNN, they just cannot cope with the fact that somehow Trump has all this support. And it's really looking like if he goes toe-to-toe with Biden, well, Biden just doesn't stand a chance. And every day, Biden seems to be losing ground, losing support, losing popularity. And I think people are finally just fed up with all the bullshit. Now, one thing that's very interesting to me are all the cases, all the allegations in the cases that Trump is involved in. What the Democrats are pissed off about, the liberals, as they call them, is nothing is fucking sticking. Because almost everything they try to accuse him of, everything they try to make stick so that he actually gets sentenced and thrown away and put in jail, well, it comes out that records are falsified, mishandled, or shit's just blatantly fucking made up. Made up. Literally. But what's getting more attention than anything of all of these Trump cases is the case of Stormy Daniels. And this one's a head scratcher because some of the other ones, I can kind of go, I can see where you're coming up with that charge. I can kind of see where you pulled that out of your ass. But this one, the hush money case, the one that they say is extremely illegal, doesn't make any fucking sense. Because if you think about it, what exactly is he being charged with? I had to do a little deep diving because I couldn't understand it myself. I had a few articles that I pulled up, and there's one, surprisingly, from CBS News that actually has a timeline of the events that, you know, that outline everything about this Stormy Daniels case. I come to find out, hold on while I take a puff. Okay. I come to find out, oh, there's the lighter again, that the Stormy Daniels case is about something, basically, she got paid $130,000 to shut the fuck up, is what they're saying. But the more you read into this, it wasn't really a direct hush money case, per se. And the other thing is, they think that they're going to embarrass Trump by pulling out this crazy, weird relationship slash, I don't know, affair that he had with her in 2006 and 2007. Okay. 2006 and 2007. And she only wanted to bring this to the surface and push it. In 2016, she made a stink because that's when Trump was running for president, was super popular, was world renowned, was already popular from being the host of The Apprentice, but now he's a presidential candidate. And she suppressed everything until now, going against the signed agreement in which she took money and agreed to shut her mouth. Now, her testimony has been, they try to go over the sexual encounter part. In 2018, she claimed there was nothing wrong with what we did in terms of he didn't rape me, he wasn't bullying me, none of that. Fast forward to 2024, all of a sudden she has a different tune. Oh, he was blocking me and suppressing me and overpowering me, and I felt uncomfortable and forced. Sure you did. Sure you felt uncomfortable and forced. Look, you were lured in by the appeal of a very rich, very well-known man. And then fast forward throughout the years, gets more involved in politics, and then suddenly you see he's a presidential candidate in 2016, and now all bets are off. Your $130,000 wasn't enough, was it, Stormy? Now, how convenient for that to happen in 2016, her trying to come out at the same time he's a presidential candidate, at the same time that he's just beating the shit out of Hillary as a presidential candidate. Now, you're going to tell me that this whole thing wasn't planned? That she just felt it was time to speak at the precise moment he became the leading Republican Party presidential candidate? I'm going to call bullshit. I'm going to say this was definitely premeditated. And the fact that you're talking about something from 2006 and 2007, look, I don't want to discredit her as a woman if she went through something that was bad, but I don't think she did. It was consensual. She's a fucking porn star. Okay, she gets paid to have sex with people, period. And you can say that, okay, well, she may have been a porn star, but Trump was a very powerful man, and maybe she felt a little intimidated by the situation and just went with it. Fair enough. But going with it from 2006, 2007, 2014, at what point do we say she wasn't bought in? That it wasn't exciting for her? I'm not trying to sound like a chauvinist here. I'm not trying to sound like a guy who's just trying to bring down, a woman who may have had a horrible experience, but that really isn't the case here. This is a case of election interference, period. And apparently, that is the claim by the left and the claim by everybody who's taking Trump to court, is that he was causing election interference by paying her this $130,000 to shut the fuck up. Because apparently the logic here, I got this from, this is very weird. So this is from Common Cause, which is basically a site that I can see is all about just getting everyone together to go after Trump and hate on Trump. Fine, whatever, who gives a fuck. But here's the logic. I'm reading this from their site. Of course, I'll put links in the show notes, but it says right here, it's clear the money was paid because the Trump team feared that the emergence of her story just before the 2016 election would torpedo Trump's chance of becoming president. That makes the payment a campaign contribution, and the Trump campaign's failure to disclose it to the Federal Election Commission illegal. Okay. I'm trying to grasp the logic here. How that is considered a campaign contribution. They're trying to say that because he tried to basically suppress information that would make him look like a bad person by paying someone to not say anything, that makes it a campaign contribution. A contribution to who in terms of a campaign? To Stormy Daniels? She wasn't running for office. How's it a contribution to her? The only thing I can probably surmise from this statement, which they clearly, as you read on, haven't even put together themselves, is, was it paid by campaign funds out of the campaign slush fund, as they say? Well, the thing is it wasn't, because Michael Cohen, Trump's lawyer, who made the deal, basically took the money out against his house of $130,000 to make this deal. And he did this deal because the National Enquirer was, so there was two women here. There was Stormy Daniels and there was, who was the other lady here? Stormy's the one that we pay attention to the most. But anyway, there was a deal being made with the National Enquirer and these two women to tell their stories, right? They owned the rights to it. So Cohen got involved to make sure that he was handling this, okay? So that nothing came out that would put Trump in a bad light. Well, and before I move forward, can I ask you which politician ever from city council to president has not suppressed information about themselves, changed their online profiles, did everything they can to make themselves look good? And which person has ever not reinvented themselves and move forward and repent from the sins of their past? Now, not all these people have, not all politicians. In fact, most politicians have not repented from anything. They keep pulling the same old bullshit. But you're not going to sit here and fucking tell me that Trump should be hung because he chose to sell himself to the American public just like every other fucking politician did. And what was he really suppressing? A bad decision in a relationship he realized he shouldn't have had when he was married at the time? That's something anybody would do. Now, I'm not here to be pro-Trump, but what I'm trying to get at and what I'm trying to understand is what in the fuck is the actual charge here? For one, it's not illegal to offer an agreement to someone to shut up. It's basically called an NDA, okay? A non-disclosure agreement. It happens in business all the time. All the time. Happens everywhere. Look, you want to go to a meeting with Microsoft execs? You got to shut up. You can't say anything about what you heard in the meeting, all right? If I get hired for an event at Google, you got to sign an NDA agreement that states that whatever you hear and blah 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 that you can't repeat outside. You can't even just talk about how the event itself is put together in terms of production. Not even that. So, if Trump should be in jail, shouldn't every CEO be in jail? Shouldn't every other politician be in jail for suppressing information that they don't want out? I mean, again, the only thing I can see is if they're trying to stick him for using campaign funds, but he doesn't. Okay? He doesn't. So here's the deal here. So I'm going to go back to 2016. All right? I'm going to read this through. It was Karen McDougal was the other lady. So June, Karen McDougal, actress, former Playboy model, begins trying to sell her story for an alleged affair she had with Trump in 2016. 2006 and 2007, she retains attorney Keith Davidson, who approaches the National Enquirer about possible deal. Trump secures a Republican Party nomination for president on July 2019. Now, August 5th, the National Enquirer, and this is all from 2016, by the way. August 5th, the National Enquirer secures the rights to McDougal's account for $150,000, but never publishes her story. A tactic known as catch and kill. Happens all the time. They don't want it to get out. They're not sure that they want to develop it. So Disney does this all the time with movies and scripts. You know, Warner Brothers does it. Fox does it. Sony does it. Everyone does this in the media. Okay. It's a way to control the narrative and make sure that you have the power in terms of the information that will be presented, which makes you the most profit. So anyway, that's what the National Enquirer did. Now, in August and September, Cohen reaches an agreement with David Pecker, the chairman and CEO of the National Enquirer's parent company, American Media. So To secure the non-disclosure portion of the company's deal with McDougal for $125,000, the deal between Cohen, who is Trump's lawyer, and AMI is never finalized, but Cohen retains a copy of the draft. So he did attempt to try to gain the rights to that. Moving on, on October 8th, Daniels is now also represented by Davison, who tells Dylan Howard, the editor-in-chief of the National Enquirer, that she is willing to go on the record about her alleged affair. So she just wants to go on record about her affair. Why does she want to do it so bad? Because it has fucking value. She's doing it for money, okay? Now, aside from money, I think there's another motive here. I think someone got to her and wanted to make sure that she got this information out to also make Trump, well, look bad because he was a presidential candidate. Because if he didn't become a presidential candidate, I guarantee that she would never, ever have spoken up. Give me a sec while I drink a beer here. All right. Now, put that down. So, Cohen negotiates a deal to pay Daniels $130,000 in exchange for the rights to her story and also, as I said, an NDA or non-disclosure agreement. Now, here's the thing. October 17th, Cohen files paperwork to incorporate a firm known as Essential Consultants LLC in Delaware. So he makes a different company, a shell company, to where he would be able to pay her this money. Okay. Cohen opens up a bank account for Essential Consultants and transfers $131,000 that he obtained by taking out a home equity line of credit into the new account. All right. So far, the money hasn't come out of campaign funds or campaign contributions whatsoever. On October 27th of 2016, Cohen wires $130,000 to Davidson, who is Daniels' attorney. Cohen receives signed copies of the agreement between Peggy Peterson, who is a pseudonym or a different name for Stormy Daniels, and David Dennison, who is Donald Trump. This was dated October 28th. And there's a picture of this. I'll put the link, a copy of it that is notarized by an Erica Johnson, okay, out of the great state of Texas. So with this information, I'm trying to understand, where's the crime? I'm trying to understand why suddenly Daniels felt the need in 2016 to try to sell her story. Was it money? Possibly. It was worth a lot, I'm very sure. But she only got $130,000 out of it. And she was quick to accept it for whatever reason. She could have held out. She could have got more. Or was it really she was being guided and coerced by someone else to do this to hurt Trump's campaign? So if we look at the facts here, everything I've read, where's the crime? I'm not understanding why he's even in court for this. I just don't. So Democrats are insane. And they're out of their minds because they can't figure out why Trump is not yet in jail. Because you don't have anything. You don't have anything. Your leading candidate is a waste of fucking human skin. Okay? He's done nothing but hurt the country and turn us into a laughingstock. I mean, from top to bottom, it's a disaster right now. And you want to hold on to that? And the Democrats should just be fucking walking away from Biden at this point. But they're so bought into making sure that their team wins that they're supporting him. And it's crazy. I'm going to light my cigar up. I got a little touch up on this real quick. Uh-huh. A little puff. Hold on. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. All right. That's a good cigar. Very good cigar. Creamy. Good flavor. Great draw. Yeah. I dig it. So, put my lighter down here. All right. Now, that's what I know. That's what I can look up just using my 2 hands and 10 fingers here. I'm not doing anything that nobody else in this freaking world can do. Yet it's so easy to go on X or any other social media platform and find everybody kicking and screaming over the alleged charges and alleged things that he did that was so wrong. And everything is hinging on the Stormy Daniels case because they've got nothing else that will fucking stick. They're just throwing things at the wall and nothing's sticking. And they're getting in trouble for all of these made up charges. So you tell me, who's crazy here? Trump? The Republicans? Or the Democrats? Taking party politics aside, if you're just looking at the facts that is related to not just Trump's cases, but everything else has been going on, which looks like a giant witch hunt against Trump ever since he started running for office back in 2016. If you just look at the facts, they hate Trump for whatever reason because he does not toe the line, even though it's separate parties. But let's just be honest, most of them do the same shit, same shady, underhanded bullshit, and they all scratch each other's backs in the end. You got to realize a lot of this shit that you're seeing is for show. Okay, a lot of it. Moving forward, stop supporting your team. Take a step back and do some fucking research and really look at what's happening here, because they haven't had one shred of logical evidence that sticks against Trump, and they can't figure it out. And the Democrats are getting ever more panicked, frantic, out of their fucking minds because we're in May and it's still going, and he's gaining traction and popularity and support, and they can't fucking figure that out. Well, I'm going to leave the Trump conversation there because I think we're all kind of fucking tired of hearing it. And yeah, he's going to be our next presidential nominee. All right, speaking of bullshit, I'm going to tackle something else here. I want to move away from Trump, as I said, and let's talk about something that I'm glad is finally happening. All these crazy fucking protesters out there. The pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian protesters on U.S. soil that are going out of their way to impede everybody else's lives. Florida, for example, the police finally went in and they're saying no. All these people, a bunch of people were caught trying to protest on a bridge, blocking traffic. The police quickly got there and arrested every single one of them. They didn't let them go. They didn't slap on the wrist. It's a sign of the times. People are done with the bullshit. Okay. When you impede traffic, you're impeding commerce. You're impeding people's ability to get to work, pick up their children. You could be impeding an emergency vehicle. There are so many things that you are doing that is wrong when you impede traffic and block a bridge, an overpass, whatever. You should be arrested. You should be serving jail time. Period. 5 years. Minimum. And in other news, no, take another puff. Hold on. Yeah. That's good. And in other news, the universities sound like they finally had enough. Everything they've been supporting is blowing up on their asses. This actually just came out when I was putting the show together today. Here's an article from the LA Times. It came on a couple hours ago, before I started recording here. On let me just read this here. I'll put the link in the show notes. So here's the headline: Police arrest 50 at UC Irvine after sweeping protest camp, clearing barricaded building. So the protesting got so bad that in another dramatic campus showdown, hundreds of police officers in riot gear descended on pro-Palestinian encampment on UC Irvine in an hours-long siege that led to dozens of arrests. University officials said they took action after a contingent of demonstrators briefly occupied and barricaded a nearby university building Wednesday, escalating a protest that had been tolerated by officials for weeks. So they're trying to say the university people were tolerating this, but they were encouraging it. But they're starting to change the rhetoric here so that they don't lose face and look bad. I get it. So it says, By nightfall Wednesday, police had herded the protesters off-site, dismantled the encampment, and arrested 50 protesters, including some faculty members. Can you believe that there were actual faculty members, not just at this school, UC Irvine, but this also happened in Berkeley? There's a handful of universities. In fact, if you just look it up yourselves, you'll find that universities throughout the United States where this bullshit protesting and support for Hamas is no longer being tolerated because it's getting out of control. They're impeding people's ability, who, by the way, pay to be there, to get an education. And in this case, they're taking over and barricading buildings. Like, what in the fuck is wrong with everybody? I kind of addressed this on Random Thoughts the other day, latest release. I guess what we were at, episode 7. And here's my hot take. Firstly, if you're supporting Hamas, you're supporting terrorism, period. And now I can dive deep, but I want you to look it up because they were started a long time ago and they broke off and branched off and became a more terrorist-focused and violent organization. And their view is basically that there is no land that they will ever secede unless, well, no, never. And there's no land that should ever, that they feel is traditionally or historically Palestinian, that should have anything other than people of Muslim faith occupying it. Period. So any other religion belief that you have, if you happen to live on land that they feel is historically Palestinian, you're fucked. They will not tolerate it. In fact, one second. In fact, all the support for Palestine by the LGBTQA plus community, I think I got it all. These idiots don't even realize that their own way of life and lifestyle is not tolerated by Hamas or the Palestinian people in general. Hamas has what they call roof parties, where they throw your lesbian, gay, trans ass off the top of a building, hands and feet tied behind your back so you can fall to your death being smashed to the ground. They don't give a fuck. They see your blue-haired, nose-pierced, fucking dick swinging out of your fucking pee hole with titties on your head, and they're going to round you up and they're going to fucking kill you. But yet, you want to support them. You know what? You're lucky you live in America because our First Amendment allows you to say things that, even if they're fucking stupid, you have a right to say. Here's my charge to all of these protesters. If you truly are convicted, truly in your heart convicted for backing Hamas. Now, the only thing I agree about the protests, or agree with the protesters about, is the right to the Palestinians to basically not get fucking wiped off the face of the earth. I think we can all agree about that. I mean, there's no reason for Israel to go out of the way to basically commit genocide against the Palestinian people. There's no excuse for it. Hitler did it, and the world got upset. And, well, Hitler isn't here anymore. But now Israel flips the script, and they want to go ahead and commit genocide against the Palestinian people, and it's okay. I don't understand how that fucking works, but whatever. Now, the land that has been in dispute for years, if you want to really go back in history, and I'm talking to all you highly educated fucking educators, as you call yourselves, especially those in the universities, you seem to forget your education because, especially these history teachers, the land that is in dispute was never, ever officially, originally Palestinian. It was always Jewish occupied land. Always. And the Jews were pushed out when they were invaded and conquered. And the air quote Palestinian people of the time sided with those invaders and conquerors and lived on the land, and over time pushed out and deported the Jews. And I'm being very overviewy about this. I know I'm not giving you as a lot of details like I usually do, because I feel at this point, if you're going to talk shit, if you're going to go ahead and have an opinion, go educate yourself. Then come back to me and give me your argument. Okay? Everything that I want to say is really going to be a whole nother show. In fact, I think I will do that on the next episode. I'm going to do a little deep dive into the history of that land and what's been going on, so you all have a real understanding of what the fuck you're supporting or not supporting. But I think the American people are fed up. Look, if you have the conviction, I want you to take a fucking plane flight over to Gaza. Get out. Jump in front of artillery. Feed the children. Mend to those sick, weary, and dying. And yell and scream at the Jews all you want in Israel. I dare you. Get out of the comfort and confines of your home where you have everything kind of handed to you and done for you, and where you can jump up and scream and yell and you get a slap on the wrist. Go ahead and pull that shit over there, see what happens. If you truly believe that there is wrong being done, then go to the part of the world where it is being done and do something. Don't just sit here with your blue hair, painted faces, and whatever gender you think you are, and just kick and scream just to get fucking brownie points for social status. Get off your ass and go make a difference. If you truly want to make a difference in this conflict, go fucking do it. Stop making everyone else's lives miserable. Now, I know there's people out there that's going to argue. You can't dare say that from your comfortable American couch. Yes, I fucking can, because listen, the world doesn't stop. Life doesn't stop. Palestinians are in a bad situation right now. And I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But it's not my situation. And I know how that sounds to people, but the reality is my life doesn't stop. I can't drop everything I'm doing like these protesters want us to do and all sing Kumbaya and hold hands and send, happy prayers, and then just yell up and down, while jumping up and down with signs, hoping the government takes notice. Firstly, the Israeli government is who should be held accountable for their actions at this moment. Okay, not the United States. Secondly, as far as my life's concerned here, or everybody else's life, if you're impeding traffic, taking over buildings, and stopping events from happening, I mean, there's even videos of them protesting at graduations and commencement ceremonies, stopping everything so that they can get a word out and kick and scream about Palestine. The reality is, our world doesn't stop. As much as it sucks, as much as none of us really wish that on anybody as far as what's going on over there in Gaza, our life doesn't stop here. Our bills don't stop. Our lives, ability to earn a paycheck so that we can keep on living and hopefully improve ourselves and improve the world if we choose to do so, which I think we all should, doesn't stop. Period. And we can't just destroy our own country by coming to a halt because something terrible is happening across the world. We should do everything we can to support them and hopefully influence the decision makers to do the right thing. But if it gets really bad and you feel it's really bad and you have to make a difference, then go fucking get your ass out there and do it. And just stop. Just fucking stop inconveniencing everybody else. And you know why all these people aren't doing it? Because they're not really that convicted. They're just trying to gain, as I said, merit badges and brownie points so they look good on social media. And that's it. They're part of a tribe that they've created, and they don't really care as deeply as they come across as they do. Well, moving on to another topic, because I'm going to tackle some of that in another show. Good old Minnesota, Ilhan Omar's territory. They chose to change the flag, and I know a lot of people were pissed off about that. They're upset. My question is why? If you go to my my X account here, World Ablaze with George Fonts on X, I even asked a question because I get all of this stuff in my feed. And I'm like, look, everyone is upset about the new flag of Minnesota. I'm not sure why they need to change it, but I really want an explanation from the administration as to why the intentional color scheme and the choice of the 8-pointed star. What exactly does it represent about Minnesota? Now, the color scheme is kind of like a turquoise and dark blue with a white 8-pointed star. It really does look close or very loosely based on the Somali flag or the flag of Somalia, which coincidentally, Minnesota has a huge population, which coincidentally is where Ilhan Omar is from. And speaking of Ilhan Omar, my favorite politician, she's now proud, reading this from her own X account here, everyone deserves fair access to banking, regardless of religion or background. Well, agreed. Business is business, money is money. But this is why she's proud to team up with Senator Warren to crack down on financial institutions that discriminate against Muslim immigrants. I'm sorry, Muslim American. Yeah, it says Muslim Americans. Oh, and immigrants. All right. Sorry, I didn't see that. Banking access should be equitable for all. Okay. I'm not sure what bank's not going to take your money. All right. Now, financial institutions screen people, period. All right. And it's not necessarily have anything to do with your fucking race or ethnic background per se. I mean, if you come in and you've got $50 million to put in a bank, I'm sure any bank's going to be very accommodating. But you're not just going to get free loans. All right. You're not going to get just free low interest loans. Look, that shit is based on your credit score and your history. And if both of those suck, banks are going to tell you no. There's large companies that don't even get loans because they have bad credit scores. That's just how it works. Ilhan, you're a fucking idiot. You're pandering, and I get so upset. I get so upset when I see you and AOC, hell, your whole squad try to just talk to people as if you know better. I mean, I'm sorry. Look, I'm just going to hold back. I've said enough about her in the past. But Ilhan, really, I know you're desperate for votes. You're up for re-election. I get it. You're going to pander to your base. But seriously, going back to that Minnesota flag, anyone listening to this, you could look it up. Just look up Minnesota flag. I'd love for you to leave comments. Give me your opinions on what you think, because I can't figure out what it represents about Minnesota whatsoever, or even how it represents anything related to the United States. I just can't. I mean, my life isn't going to stop over it, because why should it? I mean, a flag is the worst of my problems, but we also can say flags are important because they do have meaning. They do have meaning. And I have yet to hear one reasonable explanation as to why this had to change, in particular, why it had to have this look. Well, I'm going to take us out. Usually I know I go over an hour, 2 hours, whatever, but on my first show back after my little hiatus, I'm gonna end it here. And I'm going to continue to enjoy my cigar. Continue to drink my beer. And thank you to everybody who continues to support us, who continues to support me. Please please subscribe to World Ablaze with George Fonts, and check out all the other shows we have under the Fonts Media banner.